So my freshman year after I attempted suicide, the university required me and appointed me to a counselor.
I feel like I'm in class right now.
You're the teacher, man. This is your stage. I think the problem listening to you now is women don't understand that men don't speak it, they do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that.
Okay.
I did not understand men don't speak it, they do it. And the Lord said, if you don't write this from an honest, authentic, and pure place, don't put the book out.
Ideas Inspire Information Podcast, powered by Loke Enterprise. Here's your host, Braxton Holly.
For over 15 years, to know a person is monumental in the day and age we live in. To have watched a person grow, to see yourself develop as that time goes by. Accolades you can pull your Chinese scroll out and start at the top and work all the way down. Not only are people beautiful in nature, but people are beautiful in spirit. Being the people that we are nowadays, you see where people can go off the rails. You see where people can succeed and strive, and you can question those things, but at that point you're questioning yourself if that's something that was created for you to do or if that's something that's specifically created for them to do. As a person, you always compare yourself, but you're not really comparing yourself to the things that others are doing. You're comparing yourself to the things that you have not yet done yet. Here on Ideas Inspire Information, we often say the mind is a terrible thing to not use because the mind can never be wasted. So today, I want to introduce you to someone that has not yet only traveled the world, that has not yet only inspired many, that is doing many things that I have kept an eye on for several years now. With lack of communication over the years, and that's what happens as you grow and develop as people. You don't speak to the same people as often as you once do. But things come full circle, and they happen when they need to. I'd like to welcome Amber Underwood to the show today and just dive a little deeper into what has made her today, how she's become this world-renowned speaker, author, person. There's so many accolades that I need to actually check my notes in order for me to get them all out. But we'll go through it. We'll let her tell you about herself. I'm not sure if that's something that she's excited about, but she will be soon. So, Amber, hello. How are you today?
I'm good, Braxton. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm glad to have you here. I guess things just work the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No,
Thank
most
you.
definitely. I'm actually glad that your schedule is able to work.
What does that mean?
You are the one, and I'm out here trying to grow things, and you are the flower from the root. So the flower is not blossom. You were orange. I brought the orange flower out today. We didn't even know that was happening.
No.
See, it is what it's supposed to be. I don't even want to get into the episode quite yet, or just the details of what we're going to discuss. I want to talk about you. How have you been over the last years, and what has changed in your life from what, 6th grade till now?
River Chase Middle School.
Yeah, that's it. From then to now, how's life treated you?
Yeah, life is interesting. I think what you remember me as in middle school, I wouldn't even say you. I'll just speak for myself. I like to think I was a little wild. I was a little out there. Not really aware of life and just how it comes with its ups and downs. Because we're young. We're adolescents trying to figure ourselves out. In fact, I'm pretty sure we were in the Eric Erickson stage of identity crisis. So knowing within ourselves who we are, but also knowing that who we are is not who we want to be. And so we're striving to get there, but still trying to figure out how to do that with specifically middle school. Comparison, I'll just speak for myself. I lived in Alabaster, but I went to Pelham, and I was able to do that because my mother worked in the school system, Shelby County. So she worked at Helena. But being at River Chase and living in Alabaster, there's two worlds. There's two different worlds. And where I lived on the side of the track where it was predominantly black. And then going to the predominantly white school at the time, I just didn't fit. I didn't feel like I fit anywhere. Just trying to figure out what that looked like for me because on the black side, I'm too proper. And to them, I'm too white. But then you are surrounded by a lot of white people. And so then you realize, well, you're not white enough. You're actually black. And so I think that for me was the start of my journey of like being young, but realizing like there's more to me that I'm not aware of. And there's these two different worlds that can define you if you don't take the time to understand that about yourself. And because I didn't have an awareness of who I was, life continued to go on. Went to high school, left the predominantly white school and went to Thompson at the time, which is now Thompson University, which is crazy. But went there and immediately fit in with everybody, immediately. I left my senior year, literally making homecoming court and winning best dress, which is weird because, again, like I said, they weren't really accepting of me.
Hey, you're doing it right now.
Yeah.
You're doing it right now. The shoes, man. Man. Hey, I might have to get a shot just of them shoes, man.
I'm trying, okay? Which is another piece to this. Like just coming into who I am as a woman. And I think, I don't know, life is just crazy. And I'm thankful for the process, which I could say more, but I know that you have this flow that you want to get into.
No,
so
I'm here to listen and learn. Now, Amber, first of all, your shop is all outdoors. You know, how the old folks say, shop is a tat. You know, you clean as a whistle. How a whistle clean when folks be blowing all their breath and spitting? But we ain't gonna go into that. That's another conversation. From everything that you've transformed from to now, and being able to really find yourself, what steps are needed for people to find themselves? Because that's a key that I think in this era that we're in, people don't really know who they are. They see so much on social media. They're around people that are doing all kinds of things, and people want to fit in. People want to be a part. They want to be what's cool or what's happening, and they don't want to stand out like a sore thumb because they're worried about what people will say, what people will do. How do you find yourself in this era?
that's a tricky question because I feel like all of life is the undoing. So it's unbecoming everything society told you that you were and embracing who you really are. And a lot of us will only reach that mark if we practically take time to get honest with ourselves about who we are today. I know for my journey specifically, it took losing myself to find myself. And that journey in itself tends to take a lot of people out. And what I mean by take them out, I don't mean like, they commit suicide or whatever the case may be. You have 50-year-olds still operating as a 13-year-old that their trauma happened to them at. And the trauma was actually obviously not their fault, but as you get older, it's used to teach you something and you're supposed to unpeel that stuff and grow from it. But when we don't, be it because we don't have the tools or we're just afraid of getting honest with ourselves, we waste time and energy being who we were never supposed to be. A lot of us struggle with embracing God's original idea of us. And so one of my prayers really for the last 2 years has been, God, I want to embrace your original idea of me because I don't think trauma, I don't think pain, I don't think heartbreak, I don't think bullying, just all the things that life throws at us. I don't think that's his original idea of us. But we've got to be willing. So practically, there's a willingness component. And if you don't have the resources or you're just afraid of it because it's something you've never done, you'll never tap into who you really are.
I feel like I'm in class right now.
Maybe. You're the teacher, man. This is your stage.
No, see, I just set the stage.
I just got a ticket.
I bring the talent to the stage, That's real good. With that finding, Is that what drove you into doing therapy and being able to counsel kids and the youth in order to, or did that come out of the things that you dealt with in order for you to give back that strength and that ability from having those, what's that word? Not, what's that word that you use when you recall something, but on a personal level? Experiences. There
Mm-hmm.
we go. From those experiences, was that something that drove you in that direction?
I laugh because everything. First of all, you call me a world-renowned speaker,
Hey, look,
sir.
it's on the way.
Sir,
You already did you
sir.
not just leave a speaking event about
I
a
did,
okay?
but I'm just.
Was it not somewhere other than this world that you've grown up in?
You're right.
And are those people from other places?
You're right. Okay, I stand corrected. I receive that. But no, I laugh because everything you speak of, so like me being a mental health therapist, me being a speaker, me being an author, a businesswoman, because all of those things kind of make you that. I didn't want this. This was not my life. Like, I think that there's a will for our lives, but we also have the opportunity to participate in writing that will. And my will was I was going to be a traveling neonatal nurse. And that came from coming into awareness in the 3rd grade that I had a cyst that was on my right lung and they had to remove half of my right lung. And so when my mom told me the story, I just knew then, like, I'm going to go be what those nurses were to me. And so I went to the University of Alabama, came in as a nursing major, had well over the GPA, 3.6, 3.5, somewhere around that range. Highly competitive school, but never got in. I was denied 3 times, and then I took it so far to go apply at the University of Alabama in Birmingham, way over what was needed. So I'm thinking, like, I'm going to get in because the advisor at the school also told me, hey, we got a scholarship for you. So I'm like, okay, let's flip. Like, I'm going to leave Alabama and we're going to Birmingham. And I still didn't get in. And so accepting that this is not my calling. And I learned that it wasn't mine because there were people with 2.5s and 2.6 GPAs that got in the same semesters that I was applying. So I took it upon myself to just surrender. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So I ended up taking a Strong's inventory test, and it showed me, like, just what my gifts and talents were based on what I answered the questions as, and it lined me with nursing, which was so interesting because I didn't get in, social work, and something else. But I chose social work. And I was looking crazy because growing up, I'm told social workers are people that bang on people's doors and take people's kids, which is not what we do. There's so much to it. There's a micro level and a macro level to it. But embracing that actually put me on this path. Like, I ended up getting a scholarship. So more of my tuition was paid for because it put me back in school for a year and a half. So it took me 5.5 years to graduate. Went to abroad and started studying Spanish. Just the doors flung open and it started letting me know this is my path. And so I had to accept that society's path is not my path, and I've got to be okay with getting comfortable with being in my lane. So kind of going back to what you said about just, social media and society telling us who we are, it really takes you being intentional through the rejections, through the redirections, to just figure those things out. And I can confidently say, I shouldn't even be here today. Like, I don't know why when and I'm sure you will touch on this more, but my freshman year of college, I actually attempted suicide. And to this day, I cannot tell you why it didn't work. I remember doing what I did and then waking up it's a hospital, but it was a psych ward because there was like no windows. It almost felt like a prison. But it was through that all of this took off. Just having to always tell people that college for me was less about my degree and more about who I'm becoming. So a lot of the experiences that I'm talking about came from losing myself to find myself.
I had to take a deep breath and a drink there.
What up, y'all? I'm your host, Juice Man Jay.
It's your boy Drew D, the word man.
And it's the one and only Jewel. And you're here with us at Studio Life After Dark.
Man, Studio Life After Dark is the hottest podcast in the city.
We the opinion of the people, man. We the opinion of the people, man. We really just putting it out there, man.
And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at Studio Life After Dark.
Man, y'all can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and also YouTube.
Hello.
That's a lot. Some of that I was slightly aware of based off my research. Some of that I did not know.
Not the research.
Yeah, you got to do your research. It wasn't just coming, hey, how's life been for the last 20 years? No, you got to do your research. So I want to take us back a little bit before we get deeper into these good subjects.
Mm-hmm.
When you were saying you coming from Pelham back to Alabaster, not really fitting into certain scenarios, just being in a place that wasn't always comfortable for you, that allows me to see where I've come from, because most times I don't think about things in certain ways. I just, things are what they are, and I continue to move forward, because me looking back is not going to do anything but prepare me for what's going to come, but it's not going to make me who I am. And so I look back, and hold on, this was before middle school.
No. Because you didn't go to Helena, did you?
No. You came to River Chase in 6th grade?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking back. I feel like I'm reminiscing at this point. But
this is good, because remember, you just said you don't do that.
Exactly. So before I came to River Chase, I actually left Valley. I was there, I think it's 3rd, 4th, 5th. I was there 3rd. I left half of 4th, and I came back in 6th. And of course, I didn't leave on my own doing. I'm a child. But I think that for me, this was the first place subconsciously that I have been the longest in my life. My dad was in the military, so we moved around, met new people. I was always in a cycle. But for me, it was, yes, anybody in my family, I've changed schools before. I get in trouble. I just do stuff. I do things that I don't think would be a problem, or maybe I didn't. Just stuff doesn't register at certain ages.
You're multifaceted. It's okay.
Yeah, I was just doing. And when I left and went across town to Fairfield. So it's a little different than Alabaster, of course.
Okay.
So my mom has been in the schools. She taught for over 30 years. So I went to school with her. I actually went to New Hope for half a semester. Still me, getting in trouble. I went to C.J. Donald for a whole year. More becoming, being around more of my people. We're not going to go into my history, but
no, it's important though.
Yes, those experiences grew me into a place where when I got to River Chase, I wasn't the same as I was when I left Valley. And just based on the toleration of things. When you spoke about bullying, I had a short instance in middle school where, I feel like someone that didn't quite know themselves yet decided that I was the person that they wanted to bully, and that did not last long. But what was interesting about that now thinking is that I think they felt that empowerment based off the people that they were around. Because there was never an encounter when it was just me and them. And so, and the people they were around were just, taller, bigger people. And I think that's funny because now as I've grown, a lot of my friends, well, I'm not the biggest person, but a lot of my friends are taller, bigger people. So when I'm around them, people think they're my bodyguard. I'm like, what?
Not the bodyguard. Look,
I might be the one to run up on you. But yeah, that took me back and allowed me to think about things a little differently for my own self, and how life not changes you, but grooms you into the person that you are meant to be.
Yeah.
As you've been grooming and now an author. Arthur, I feel like I'm talking about
You got
DW
it.
and Arthur. Author. Arthur and Arthur.
Look, you say tomato, I say potato.
Okay, cool. Did you begin your journey of writing throughout these experiences as you continue to grow? Is this something that you just kind of fell into, or was it therapeutic for you? How did writing for you become a thing?
Yeah, I actually brought my journal with me. I
I
carry
love
it
that
with me
journal.
everywhere I go.
So the picture on that journal is similar to the shoot I was discussing
Here we
with
go.
you. So
Divine. This is your
we'll
confirmation, sir.
we'll talk more about that. I guess I got to do it now.
Hello.
It's on film.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No. So I go back to what I was saying about nursing and social work. Like everything that I'm doing, I never in a million dreams thought I would do. So my freshman year after I attempted suicide, the university required me and appointed me to a counselor. And, I had my sessions with that counselor. That's where my healing journey started. Like, so unpacking things and getting to the root of the why. And the way therapy works, we always want to make sure that we give them coping strategies. I know that now being a therapist, but at the time, not fully understanding that. This man just wants me to get a piece of paper and write my feelings. Cool, which I had been writing, like, so I knew how to write ever since I was in the 3rd grade. But, like, actually, like, seeing me on paper, that was not something that I'd planned. So just after starting that process with him, I mean, I have a storage full of journals all the way from 2012. So it just kind of stuck with me. And I can attribute journaling to really why the thought of suicide has never crossed my mind again. I just know, like, when I'm in the moment, and I'm an in the moment type person. So if I'm at work and like something is hitting me, I'm gonna like, hey, give me a second.
Yeah.
And I stop and I pull this out and I write in it because I'm able to see how I'm feeling mentally on paper, and it helps me connect the dots to what's really going on. So it just came by way of being required to go to counseling.
That's good. You're just taking me all over the place right now.
I'm not trying to, man.
No, I love it. That my notes are really just key points. So writing for me is like putting my mind where I'll remember. Because if I don't write it down, if I don't jot it down, if it's not in my phone, if it's not somewhere I can go back to it, there's a small possibility that I will remember. And so the things that I know that I'm supposed to remember, they always come back. And some stuff you write down, you just wrote it down because it was good at the moment. I got plenty of notebooks all over the place, note apps, all kind of stuff. And so I don't think that I write to, express myself. I write to remember myself.
Oh, that's good.
And so there are things that I wrote down years ago on a sticky note, put in my room, put in my office, and then I look back at randomly. Just I'm sitting and I just look at it. I'm like, oh, I did that. I'm in process of that. And I don't even think about, hey, I need to do this. The things just come. They literally just fall out of the air. It's wild to me because I'm not, the way that you're able to write things down to reflect on how you're feeling in a moment, I am very action oriented. I have to do it, I have to see it, I have to be a part of it, because if I don't, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's strong. I feel like I'm in a therapy session right now.
Look, we are not there. We are just having a
I'm
conversation.
just saying, I'm not a vulnerable expresser.
Why? Let me ask you that question.
I just have not been. I don't verbally express myself.
I ask why because that's not a Braxton issue. I find that to be universal with men. So can you speak to that?
All right. So now we about to get in.
I told you, look, however this is supposed to flow is gonna flow.
Um, I just haven't been a person that verbally is vulnerable. I can express myself, but I believe that expression and vulnerability are two different things. Um, I don't know why I haven't. Maybe I haven't seen it enough. Maybe I haven't embraced that enough. But for me, I would prefer to fix the thing. So if I'm feeling some type of way, I will understand why I'm feeling that way, and then I would do what I need to do to not feel that way, but correct what it is that I have the ability to correct in order for that to not be an issue or that to not hinder me. Um, so for this is very unvulnerable example, but I could easily say, "Oh, I want to do this show," and not do it. But then for me mentally, and this is why we say the mind is a terrible thing to not use, because I choose to use my mind in all ways necessary. If I don't come out here to do it, it won't get done.
Right.
So why say something that you want to do but you don't make the effort to do? You got to go past your wants at times to do things that you need to do. So, for example, today, I know that people have other things to do on their schedules. I ask people, hey, you got a few minutes, you got a moment, you got a couple hours here. You know, people have schedules, they have stuff to do. So that doesn't stop me and say, hey, Amber, I don't have any help today. We can't come out and do it. No, I'm going to get it done
Yeah.
regardless. So I feel like that's why I'm not verbally vulnerable, because I'll do what I need to do to get it done. Um, um, Other than that, maybe you could therapize me on more information there, because I'm sure you have more research and knowledge of maybe just men in general, or just
I don't.
being able to verbally be vulnerable.
I don't. I'm in a season. Well, first, I want to acknowledge it sounds like you are a problem solver. You don't have time to dwell on the issue. Let's figure out what the solution
You
is to this
haven't watched
problem.
any of these, have you?
No.
Because the community that I'm growing is a solutionary community.
Wow.
There are solutions to everything, and even in situations, the solution is nothing. Sometimes the right thing to do is nothing. So there is a
Okay.
solution. If people be like, it's not, sometimes the solution is nothing. There's a solution to everything. But
Okay.
ooh, that was good. Hey, look,
That look.
that prayer did it. That prayer did it.
No.
You put it on us.
No. No, I asked that though because I'm in a season where so I grew up in a home where my mother was the sole provider. She taught us everything we know. She was very strong, independent, black in its fullness. And that naturally made me and my sisters strong, black, independent women. And I've spent the last 3 years undoing a lot of that because of my desires. So when I said earlier, I'm finally coming into who I am as a woman. I believe that, oh, my stomach is turning as I'm about to say this. For so long, I thought strong independent was that song INDEP.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
thought that was like a hoorah. Like, let's own that.
That's a conversation we can go into, but carry on.
Own that. And I own that. So like, and I think it had its good and its bad because I spent my 20s learning me through that lens. But for the last 3 years, piece by piece, it's been coming off. And I've learned that like I am a helpmate, like for real. Like, and my desire to not just be provided for, but to show up the way that I do for my person. And so I'm saying these things to say, the reason why I asked you that question is because I'm being so vulnerable.
Hey, I love it. I love it. I might need to go into therapy myself. I've said this a time or two on here, and this is just before, because I'm gonna let you go into it. And for anybody that's watched the previous episode, I've said this before. In college, I told one of my friends they were going into psychology. I think it was psychology or therapy or whatever. I said, if you can understand me, you would be a great psychologist, whatever it was. I don't remember, but see, if you can understand me and how I'm going to operate around you and the communication that I'm going to do, you're going to be great because I'm not difficult by trade. I'm difficult by thought. So if I can help you think about something not only in one or two point of views, but maybe a perspective that you have not yet thought of, then I've done my job.
Yeah.
Because everybody has a different perspective, a different viewpoint. So I'm going to provide that. I'm going to allow you to think about things that you were not yet thinking about. And in that scenario, you and other people are going to do that for me because in order to really connect with people, we have to understand them on a level that is empathetic.
Yeah.
Because you can't really have true sympathy for a person because you're not going through what they're going through, and
Right.
your experiences are never going to be the same. So the connection with people for me is more of an empathetic connection versus a sympathetic connection.
Yeah.
So like if we have the same scenario of something, let's take this back, just hypothetically speaking. To say we got great grandparents and they die. Well, they're going to die. But your connection with your great grandparents is going to be completely different from mine.
Yeah.
And if mine dies before yours, you can say I understand how you feel, but you can only empathize how I feel and not truly sympathize because we have two different experiences from that person.
So good. Talk about me. Now I'm over here like I'm thinking back to just friendships and relationships where there was a lack of sympathy due to the lack of empathy, understanding that person because you can't understand their experiences. So that's good. I appreciate that.
Hey,
I'm taking that.
hey, I just set the stage now.
No, I bought a ticket to the show. But yeah, no, I just asked you that about men because
Hey,
vulnerability, man.
let it flow.
So I was in a relationship for 3 years, and that is where my unbecoming of what I thought a woman's role in a relationship happened. And so I went to therapy. I started really digging deep to get to the root of like, why won't I let a man buy me anything? I mean, I used to, like, no joke, this is horrible, but I'm just gonna like give you context. I was in college and there was this guy like wanted me like so bad. And again, I'm strong, independent. I don't need no man. I threw the gift away. Like, he'd bought me a Valentine's Day gift. And I threw it away, and he found it in the trash can. And so at that time, I was like, well, I don't want no guy anyways. Like, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older, it's like, that's what trauma and pain does. And so I'm sure this guy had some trauma that he now had to deal with because he was vulnerable and let a woman know how he felt. And that was the response. So I just know my experience. I cannot speak for other women. I will speak for myself. Just my upbringing really defined what relationships look like. Because I'm a daddy's girl today, but my dad came and went. And that was because of his own stuff. He did the best he could with what he had. But I'd be lying if I didn't say watching that marked me. So I became good at leaving relationships before people could get close to me. And so when I finally opened myself up to it and knowing like this is right, yeah, I'm like, now that I'm doing my own work, now I'm having to really understand a man. And something that I've learned is that men don't talk. Like, men, the way I express myself emotionally, tears, I need to know, you need to talk to me.
Yeah.
Y'all are like, I need to go in this room on this game and like be by myself for a while. And so I asked you that just because I think through the separation, there's gonna require an accountability within him to get honest, and not just him, men in general. And you can tell me what you think on this. But is it that men are vulnerable when they feel safe, or is it just the makeup of a man is to not talk about his emotions?
Okay, so like I was saying before, I know that who I am is a bit different than your typical man. Um, for me, um, my dad's dad died probably a year before I was born. My mom's dad, my other granddad, he died when I was in second grade. So for so long, me being around men, it's just really been my dad for the most part. I got 3 older sisters, grandma, aunts. So I've really been around women and grown up around women for the majority of my life. And so I never noticed until I've gotten older why it's been so much easier for me to connect with women, communicate with women more so than guys. You know, I can hang out with guys, talk to guys, cool. But it's like I'm tired of being around y'all. Yeah, what we doing? We
Yeah.
just sit here. I don't sit on the video game. I I mean, I'm active. I play sports, but like
Yeah.
I don't think for me mentally men don't don't do it for me. And that sounds kind of weird how I'm saying it. I don't
No,
like
I
men.
get you. I
Yeah.
got you.
But like I need mental stimulation.
Okay.
And women do that because they just do. I don't really.
That's how we're
Yeah,
designed.
y'all do that. So I think I found that based off of how I've grown up. So I think on the relationship side of that, that has stifled me as well. Because I don't play that typical man role. Um, I'm gonna challenge you as much as you're gonna challenge me. And in some situations, women in the last 30 years, there's been more women growing up in single parent households. So they haven't seen that challenge structure. I grew up with my mom and dad. So, I mean, both of them, yeah, that's a thing. So, I mean, maybe that's where I get it from. If you say something to me, I'm going to say something back.
Yeah.
But it's going to be in a way for you to chill out here. Right? Hold on now. Hold the wind, please.
The sun needs to come back.
Ooh, I'm going to challenge you on that perspective. I'm going to ask you why you thinking about it that way. How we can resolve these thought processes in two different ways. Because the way you thinking about something could be completely different, and we could be looking at the same thing.
Same thing.
And that's where I think that for men, let that wind pass. I don't want to do that cold air. See, I can tell that I'm in a vulnerable state right now for a couple reasons. One, because I can feel it inside of me, and two, the wind ain't helping.
Oh.
The same way you felt your stomach moving, I can feel it in me.
And then brought you out your comfort zone.
Yeah. See, that's what a good mind would do when it's being used.
That's good.
Okay, that felt good.
You done got a mirror.
Yeah, thank you for the win. I'm back. Yeah, I think that's where, from being around guys, that's where I've seen that lack, or not that lack, but like that disconnect, because a lot of guys would be like, just leave it alone. But like, how are we gonna get anywhere if you just leave it alone?
That was my next question. Is that a good solution?
The same thing's gonna happen next week. You just leave it alone. She gonna say something, you gonna be like, all right. But you gonna keep feeling some type of way. You're not gonna reach a resolution for yourself. And until you both reach that resolution, there's no cohesion going on. And so, this is good. I'm supposed to be following these notes.
But see, that's how
I'm in a
relationships
therapeutic
end.
session right
No,
now.
you're not. We're just having conversation.
I need to pour up a little more.
We're just having conversation.
Yeah. So that's where I just think that that disconnect from men and women come. And I think my experience throughout life being around more women has allowed me to see the nuances between men and women. And just understand more where a woman would come from versus a man.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's not hard to really understand us as men.
Really?
It's really not. As a whole, I can say we're more action oriented.
So y'all like to solve the problem.
Yes, but some people don't know how to solve the problem, and most men want to solve the problem tangibly and not on the emotional side. And so, like you were saying, he bought you something, but for you, it wasn't. It was like, okay, whatever. That was an emotional thing. For him, his emotions was to give you something, a tangible thing. So, guys don't speak it; we do it.
Ooh.
And this is how really good relationships happen. When the guy can speak it, this is world renowned. Hold on. Just hit me now. Hit me. Hush him.
This is what I'm asking right here.
This is when a guy is able to speak it with his woman. That's when you can get the most from your woman, because now you've reached her on an emotional level where she already is, and now she can understand you. It's easy to understand a guy. You can tell him, but then you got to do stuff for us. So, like, if you bought him a video game and he's a gamer, he would have felt the love. But you threw away the present. So let's say
No. This was like 2012 when I threw the present.
it's just an example.
This is old Amber.
This is just an example. If you were to have bought him something as well, that would have been y'all meeting at the same level. Y'all could have met at two different levels and been in the same place by you saying, thank you, I appreciate this, and, just hanging out for the afternoon. Because now hanging out is an action being done with us as men. And I'm not speaking for all men, but just as a whole and things I've seen. We're tangible. That's good. We got about a 45-second window there. We're tangible receivers. And if I can say, let's hypothetically say, let's say I'm your man, okay? And every day after work, I was able to just communicate with you how my day was, the things that I'm feeling. From my research, that meets you where you need to be met.
Oh, I'm thinking in my head right now, like the action after that action.
Yeah,
Yes.
like as vulnerable, not vulnerable beings, but emotional beings. If I can say, hey, Amber, today was good, but I dealt with a few things here where I didn't feel like I was gonna get it done. I got it done, but I just need some time to reflect and chill out. Versus just coming in, hey, today was good, yeah. Get on the game, watch TV, do something. But you can see in me that something was missing. You can see in me that I'm not who I was when I woke up. You can see that. Us, we'll see it, but we'll be like, here goes some breakfast. You want something to eat? What's wrong? We'll ask, but sometimes it's just like that doesn't click for us. So we're listening to you, but we're not empathizing with you at that time. This ain't none of my notes. But
No, but you said something. Yeah, I'm going to say this and then we can get back to regularly scheduled programming.
I like this.
I think the problem listening to you now is women don't understand that men don't speak it, they do it. No, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that.
Okay.
I did not understand men don't speak it, they do it. But from my experiences with men, And it's not been many. I could count on one hand. Going back to the example you said, but he can come in and just, he could have all that on him and not tell her. From my experience, I already knew what was going on. Intuition had already told me. So I'm asking you because I already know. And when you lie to me, or when you, for lack of better words, don't want to get vulnerable and honest about your emotions, you don't provide me as a woman who is already in tune emotionally, and her intuition has already said what it said. You don't give me the space to help you, not save you, but help you. So yeah, I think you've answered my question. I'm understanding men a little better now. Thank you.
Hey, look, call me Therapist B.
Therapist B.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, the mind's a terrible thing to not use. Make sure you use your mind. I want to take just a quick moment to say thank you to Bridging the Gap for, again, not even sponsoring, but just providing us with quality coffee. You know, if you make your coffee in the morning and it dissolves, it is not real coffee. We're not going to call any names, but Bridging the Gap is the place you need to be. I will drop the link below so you can get your coffee today. I also want to do a very special shout out to Urban Soul Cafe. That's where you will find your tea. That's where you will find the things that are for you herbally. And you know, if you want to be well, you must act well. You must do well. Wellness just doesn't come to you. Wellness is for you, but you have to choose it for yourself. All right, that felt a little better.
That
We
was
back.
good.
We
That was
back
good.
now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have Amber Underwood here, world-renowned speaker, world-renowned author. Why I keep saying author like I'm watching Arthur and
Look,
DW?
it's okay.
Author, world-renowned author, and she's really schooling us today. She's putting me in a place that I'm not often in.
No.
And I love it. That's how you know I'm getting into a good conversation. I can feel the jitters inside of me moving around piece by piece. Let's hit some things here, because there's some things that I wanna get back into. And what I'm really enjoying about this conversation is that it's a conversation.
Yeah.
It's not an interview. It's not an interrogation. It's a true conversation. I feel like we're really recapping our last 20 years of separation.
Yeah.
So tell me something for our Spanish viewers. You gonna have to translate, 'cause I ain't gonna quite understand. Here, I got you. Your name. Your top 3 accomplishments for yourself. And how doing things for yourself will improve what happens for others around you.
Okay. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Wait. You gonna have to translate that back to USA.
No.
Because I ain't gonna understand, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna try. My Spanish is a little rusty, but I plan to go back to Mexico and spend some time with or study
Let's do it.
again. But hola, ¿cómo estás? Hello. How are you?
Hey.
Soy mucho bueno. I'm doing very, very well. What are the questions? Mi nombre es Amber Nicole Underwood. So my name is Amber Nicole Underwood.
Couple accomplishments that mean something to you.
Soy un escribir. So I'm a writer. Yo escribí un libro. So I wrote a book. Yo fui... Oof, this is a little rusty. Yo fui un colegio a las Universidad de Alabama. So I went to college and graduated from the University of Alabama. Y yo tengo mi vida. I still have my life.
Good. Let's have a round of applause. Good. That was nice. Now I told you I'm in school now.
We a little rusty, so for my Spanish viewers watching this, if y'all need to correct me, please correct me. But I feel like I got it right.
So let's take that Spanish and let's go to the Dominican, the DR, the Dominican
La
Republic.
República Dominicana.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so tell me why you went, some of the things that you learned while you were there, and how that experience has transformed you.
Oh, that marked me. So when I changed my major in college, I had to take up Spanish. Again, none of this was by choice. Well, I could take up French or Spanish, but I wasn't like you. I took Spanish because French in high school was interesting. But took up Spanish and was offered to go to the Mexico. Was offered a scholarship to go study Spanish in Mexico for 2 weeks. At that same time, a year prior, I went to the Dominican Republic, March 2015. It went really, really well. The company asked me to come back that October. So in the same year, I went to the Dominican Republic twice. First time ever on a plane ride. First time ever getting passport.
Really?
I'm not kidding.
How old
This
were you?
was 2015. So I was 21, 22 in college?
How old are we now? We ain't gonna worry about that.
20, 19, no, I was 20, 21, 22,
You were
somewhere
born
around
in
there.
93, so you, depending on what year it was, you were 21 or 22.
Yeah, 2015. I was in my early 20s. And so I went to the Dominican Republic, came back the next year, the University of Alabama. School of Social Work said, hey, you want to go study social services in Mexico? Went and did that. And then 2017, I graduated college, had no plan. 2016, graduated college, had no plan, and just dismissed corporate after graduation and went to the Dominican Republic for 6 months. No plan, just knew I was supposed to go. Ended up going. One of the greatest experiences of my life. Ended up, working with the same little girls that I worked with in 2015. My very first home apartment was in the Dominican Republic. A lot of my firsts were there. It was there also that working with those little girls made me question how many kids I really want, because they stayed with me all the time.
How many did you want beforehand?
6.
How's that number changed?
I'm probably good on 1 or 2. Yeah.
You just cut 80% of that out.
Yeah. But no, and it's also because I'm a little older now, so I understand. Well, I have a niece as well, and that's just a whole nother thing. But being older now, I understand the importance of being present and the times that we live in as well. I don't know if I'd want to have that many kids in this world, but back to the Dominican Republic. Yeah, that experience was probably one of the greatest experiences of my life because it expanded my horizons to different people. It helped me understand different cultures better, and I always talk about how, I grew up hearing people, talk about, look at all those Mexicans piled up in the back of the truck. And then living in the culture and being cooped up in a taxi, that's their way of life.
Yeah.
And just because it's not mine doesn't mean I have a right to speak on it.
I love that.
Yeah. So just really challenged me as a whole. And I'm thankful that my experience there for 6 months was right after college, because I didn't go straight into the workforce. I came back. Actually, when I came back, I wasn't even supposed to be coming back. I was supposed to move there.
Oh, wow.
So I left all of my stuff there.
Glad you came back.
I know. I'm thankful now. But before I came back, they had offered me a job. And left my whole life over there, came back to fundraise the money. And 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave, they said, we can't pay you for a year. And my mama was like, no. So I had to come back. And even coming back, I was depressed all over again because I had an experience that the people I was surrounded by didn't have. And so they couldn't understand why I wasn't doing the things I used to do, why it was hard for me to eat the same foods, because my body had grown accustomed to that culture. But again, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Spanish, all of it was an accident that I'm thankful happened.
Amber, as a person, how, on a general level, how emotional and vulnerable are you as a person?
Oh my God. I would probably be up there. I'm going to express how I feel. And I think it's because after a failed attempt at suicide, I had to start getting honest with how I really feel. And so when you do life with me, I'm not just doing surface level stuff. Like, my friends that'll watch this, they'll probably comment and be like, she's not lying. Like, and then I'm a feeler, so like I know when something isn't right. I know when something's going on with someone, and they'll tell you. I'll call them, hey, I just experienced this thing. Like, are you good? No, I'm not well. So yeah, I'm an emotional creature,
Okay.
but I love it.
Okay. So I had to get that smile out because, see, hey, I'm not playing. The mind is a terrible thing to not use, and I love to use mine. So I'm gonna ask you this, and not even based on your answer. I'm still gonna do the next part regardless. Based on your answers, how soon we'll get to that part. Let's take it back to college and the suicide structure. It's not really a structure. I guess that's something I don't know how to verbally.
Attempt, I got you.
Yeah. So, are you comfortable with like discussing some of that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna let you
I
go.
wouldn't be able to do this if it weren't for that. So.
I don't really know how to ask you about that, and that's something that that's where I feel like I'm more of an emotional person when things are on a really deep level for people.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna let you go into that and just work that out, and I'll ask whatever I feel comfortable asking at that point.
Okay.
Um,
I think in order to talk about that, I have to go back to where it began, and I didn't know that's where it began. So when I was in high school, we talked about identity crisis, like struggling to figure out who we are. And then I've changed schools, so a lot of life changes have happened. I had a best friend. Her name was Portia Merrill, and met her in second grade, inseparable. My junior year, last day going into senior year of high school, got word that Portia passed.
Yep.
And that just, that ripped me apart for two reasons. And you know Portia. The most beautiful soul. Like, and so for her to go, I could not, and still struggle to this day, fully wrapping my mind around that. I cannot understand that. And really couldn't understand it being 16, 17 years old in high school.
Yeah.
But what I did not know is that pain, that grief, that frustration, the questions I had, they didn't just fester, they became deep rooted in me. And not dealing with those emotions, I became a high functioning depressant. And so what that is just someone who overindulges in activity to deal with the pain that they don't want to address. I didn't even know that's what I was doing. But my senior year, so I go back to like winning best dressed and homecoming and just getting scholarships and just all the things. I'm talking like being a senior in high school, working 45 plus hours at Whataburger, like just indulging myself in work to deal with it. And then I got to college and I was by myself and I didn't have all those things. And I had to start having the hard conversations. And those conversations scared me. Like, my best friends literally became depression, anxiety, loneliness, and grief. And they were holding my hands. They were in front of me, behind me. And those are the ones that walked me to that door that day. Because I didn't have anybody else. I didn't feel like I had anyone else. I don't know if you've heard the saying, but you can be in a room full of people and still feel alone.
Yeah.
That was me. And it was rooted in just familial trauma, obviously, but also not dealing with my emotions and properly unpacking the impact her death had on me. And as a result of that, I tried to end it because I couldn't understand the pain. And I'm not going to speak to the people that have committed suicide and were successful at it. I'm going to speak to my experience while also trying to bring a little light to that. But people always talk about how like it's so selfish to do that. And on one end, I used to could agree, but now being in the mental health field, like you said, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. Like,
Not use.
not
We can't waste our mind.
okay. So when your mind is gone, you're not thinking about your family. You're not thinking about your job. You're not thinking about what life will be like tomorrow. You're in that moment. And depending on where you are, the mind can play tricks on you and make you believe that that is the answer. And for some, that probably was the answer. I tried. I thought that was the answer for me. The only reason why it didn't work is because it didn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I answered your question.
Oh, see, that's how I know God got the power of everything, because you did the work for what I said was coming next. Not only do I do my research, but I did experience that with you. Um, you knew Portia on um, much better than I did, based off y'all had been growing up with each other for a long time. And then even though you went to Thompson and she was still in Pelham, that was just something that I remember to today. It was literally like the last week of school. And so nobody even knows that I have these. See, I have
What do you
something.
have? Oh
I
my gosh!
have something that I don't think anyone else has these. And not at this capacity.
Yeah.
I've had this since then for years.
Wow.
And it's just, they still here in the bag.
Wow.
They're still here.
Wow.
You remember these?
I give them away when I go to vendors and stuff.
Yeah, and I've had them. They gonna hang out up here with us.
Cause she here, man. She here.
Yeah. I wrote these things down. This episode is for her.
Yeah.
This episode, I gotta have a little coffee here, getting a little.
Let me take a
a
sip
little
because
chilly.
you just got me
Hey.
with that.
Hey. See, I said it was coming, but see, you walked me into it. And I didn't know you was gonna walk me into it like that.
That's where it started.
You know, you're good at this. No, got me feeling ways I ain't felt in years. Or
This
I don't
is
even,
good.
I don't even know how to feel.
Discover yourself, embrace it, and unlock the potential within. This is the I Am Courtney Chandler podcast, streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. We shine a light on people who are making strides in the community and making our world a better place. And we discover the I Am, embrace it, and we unlock the potential within. Follow us on social media. I Am Courtney Chandler podcast on Instagram and on Facebook.
Amber the Underwood.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's what I want to ask you. How has, and I believe you answered some of that. How is going through an experience, not for you, but for others, for yourself, being young and dealing with that with a best friend? How do you find yourself from that point? How do you make things meaningful? Because dealing with that as a youth, and then going through your personal experiences, you can be in a dark place.
Mm-hmm.
You could just not want to be here anymore. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Not even going into anything detailed, but you could just be in a place where you're like, maybe I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
How do you encourage people to say, hey, those experiences are what is going to develop you? Those experiences are what is going to make you someone that will change lives because you went through those.
So one of the sayings that I hold to that came out of my book is if you allow yourself to go through it, you just might learn what you need for the person you're becoming. And it goes back to the beginning. You talked about discovering ourselves. And I said there has to be a willingness to sit and be with the things, the lows of life. because they're going to be there. They're inevitable. I wish I could fully answer that question, but now that I understand the way people handle pain, grief, trauma, loss is different, it's kind of hard. But what I will say is you've got to be honest with yourself about where you are, because if you're not honest with yourself about where you are, you can't expect to see the glimmer of hope.
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect to come out on the other side. It's only when you're honest, but then also like you got to have an environment where it feels safe to be that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't trust people because life just does that to us. I know for me, in my experience, it started with them making me go to counseling. And then thereafter, honestly, after that, I go back to what I said. It was in losing myself that I found myself. When I began that journey, that's when my life started coming together. And it was not working to deal with the pain. It was, let's figure out what this is. Okay, yeah, that's hurt. That's pain. That's questions that you feel like were never answered. Now that we know what that is, how do we get up and deal with it? But again, it just goes back to your willingness and you feeling like you can overcome, because some people feel like they can't.
Yeah.
And when you feel like you can't, there's almost nothing anybody can say to you.
I think that is the point behind this whole thing I do with Ideas Inspire Information, is to help people work through those times. Everything's not, sunshine and rainbows. Just like now, well, sunshine,
Yeah.
and now it ain't. Yeah. So I think that if we can start recognizing the things that are making us feel down, making us feel inadequate, making you feel the ways that aren't ideal, happy, joyful. And when you can pinpoint those and then begin to not correct them, but identify why you feel those ways, that's when you really start turning that switch and say, oh, I have complete control over myself. I may not know how or why I function and operate, but I know how I can get to another side. I think that in our entire bodies, the only thing that we really have control over is our mind. I don't control these lungs, heart, blood, toes. It all has to go through my mind. And hey, look, I'm going to keep saying it. The mind's a terrible thing to not use. If I choose to not do the things necessary, I would not reach any desired outcome.
Yeah.
Can't help anybody. I can't help myself.
Yeah.
This is good. This is good. I love when they get like this, y'all. Ooh wee. I love when they get like this, cause you just can't allow what your environment is doing to do for you. With our people in general, right now it's different than it was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's not so much different as far as the actions that are displayed upon us. It's different as far as how psychological it is.
Yeah.
See, it used to be a tangible thing. Now it's something that's happening in our minds. And I think the remnants of that tangible trauma is an invisible sign in front of us that's saying, hey, you can't do this, you can't go here, you can't expect to be, when there's nothing stopping you, but it's been ingrained for so long that mentally it's like you're not even thinking about what you can't do. You just you just speak it upon yourself. I find more of our people saying things that not what they can't do, but why would I, or not even just because you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And so since you haven't seen it, it's not something that you've thought about.
Yeah.
I used this reference before that. I know this is good. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, for no moment thought that the first thing that they would create would get them to where they are now. But they continue to do. I watched a clip where Jeff had said, I wanted to create a product that I could get to the masses, but he had to figure out what that was.
Yeah.
That come from his mind. He noticed that everybody reads.
Yeah.
Just made an Amazon Kindle, just a way for you to be able to get your book without being at the bookstore.
Yeah.
You just made a choice to do it. How can people begin to make the choices? And not only just make the choices, because you can easily make the choice. You write stuff down, I write stuff down. But how do you start doing it?
You gotta make a choice.
Hey.
And if there's, again, speaking for myself, like this book, it took me 5 years to do this. This wasn't no 1 year overnight success type thing. I knew that I was called to write this book because it was bigger than me. And because I knew it was bigger than me, I knew I had to show up, because that meant there's one life that could be hanging in the balance if I don't say yes and do this. And that just set a fire up under me. Like, no amount of money, no amount of speaking opportunities, none of that can equate to one life being changed. And so I think just, it's on an individual basis, but I think the common denominator is once you have that idea in your mind, you've got to let go of all thoughts of lack, all thoughts of scarcity. Like, you've got to know and believe that you're unstoppable, and nothing will get in the way of you making this happen.
Yeah, we live completely in abundance.
All abundance. Exceedingly and abundantly. Above all.
Yeah. Like, there's a different level of abundance that we're living in that we don't even. Let's get into the book. Cause that was much higher on my list until you decided that, hey Braxton, let me take your mind into a place. You know, you want to talk about the mind's a terrible thing to not use, but are you using your mind? I appreciate that. I expect more of that as well. Let's talk about the book.
Yeah.
World renowned. World renowned. Soon to be a New York Times bestseller.
Oh my goodness.
You know, millions of copies sold around the world.
I received that.
Many lives changed by just the simple stories told. You know, take me through the journey of that 5-year development.
So, my senior year of college, or 5th year, I knew that I was called to write the book. I didn't want to be the one to write it because pain resided in much of what's written. And we talk about vulnerability, but I didn't want to be vulnerable in this sense. Not to the world. You talk about world renown. Like, this is my heart on paper. So that senior year, I decided, like, okay, like, this is bigger than me. I got to do it. What is this book called? Don't know, but we're just going to start writing.
Yeah.
Graduated, went to the Dominican Republic, wrote the whole book in the Dominican, 6 months. It was called at the time, I Traded My Heels for Foreign Soil. The premise of the book then was not what it is now. And that name came from me believing that I was going to move there. So when I came back, this is also in part why I just fell into depression, because it's like this whole idea you gave me out there is now extinct. So I came back home. 2018, I finally get a job, and I learn of this conference called She Speaks. And it's just for women, and you can pitch your book ideas there. Pitched my book idea there. A publisher said yes. After they said yes, they told me to go home and create my one sheet. I went home and I created my one sheet.
Let's say what a one sheet is for those that don't know.
Okay, yeah. So a one sheet is just basically what the premise of the book is about, just to give the publisher an idea. And then on it, you include like your social media numbers, your email subscriber numbers, almost like a resume just for the book.
Okay.
But I submitted that. A day later, the publishing company wrote me back and said, hey, we decided to go with someone else. So I'm like, okay, all this redirection, all this rejection, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Like, because I'm also working at Whataburger again because I can't really get a job with my degree because I don't have my license. So came back home after they said no. And I was just like, you know what, God, what do you want this book to be about? And the word hupomone came, which is the title of the book. And I was like, why that word? And I had a flashback to when Portia passed. We were celebrating her life. And after all was said and done, I needed to find understanding. Like, I needed him to answer my questions. So I drove to her house and I sat on the side in front of a mailbox and I just prayed. I was like, I don't know why I'm here, but like, I'm pouring my heart out to you. Like, can you please give me an answer? And he says, look up. And I look up and her car tag says hupomone. So I'm like, what? What does that mean? So I Google it because, need I remind you, I had never seen her car tag. And I'd been in the car with her. Yeah. We'd been here, we'd been there, but I guess for some reason, just never paid attention to it. So I Google it, and it's the characteristic of one that's not defined by what they go through in life. And they hold on to their faith regardless of what life throws at them. That was my entire journey from attempt at suicide up until that point, and really up until now. And so I said, okay, well, we'll write the book. Ended up going to Mexico in 2019 for grad school to study social services. I wrote the book in 4 months, but I wrote it from a fiction standpoint. So the main character was not me. It was this girl named Faith. Came back home, and God was just straight up like, well, my editor too, they were like, I see the idea, but like, I feel like it's missing something. And I knew what it was missing. It was missing me being vulnerable and honest that this was my journey. And the Lord said, if you don't write this from an honest, authentic, and pure place, don't put the book out. And so I had to make a decision. Am I going to just put this back on the shelf, or am I going to be obedient? I said, okay. That fall, I went to my friend's house in Tennessee, and I rewrote the book in its entirety in 1 week. 1 week. And so it goes back to what you said. When you know you're supposed to do something, come hell or high water, like, you're going to do it. And that's what hupomone is. Like, it's raining. It's raining cats and dogs. There's a tornado. There's hail. But I know that I got to get to my car. If I don't get there, somebody's life is not going to be changed. Yeah. Am I going to wait for this storm to pass? Or am I going to run through it? I'm running through it.
Clip that up, man. Hey, to the editor, clip that up. We gotta have it. That's on this. That might be that might just be the whole name of the show. Amber did it. Amber said it. It is what it's going to be. That's good. I don't even know what to ask you about that. You delivered that as a world-renowned speaker would.
You in this language.
I'm saying. I'm not gonna put anything on you that's not at the highest level.
So when this happens, just make sure you have this segment on standby.
I'll be there.
That. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The company will be there shooting you.
Okay. Yeah. I receive it. Yeah. Y'all heard it here first.
I'm gonna call it like I see it. All right. So I don't want to keep you out here all day because we could really do this all day.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would even be more comfortable without the camera, because
you got to get vulnerable, and you don't like that.
Not even that. I like where you tried to go there. Uh-huh. Not even that. I just get to talking a little wild sometime, and they don't know me like that.
Be you.
But how do you keep all this together, Amber? How are you? And all right, let's get in there just a little bit more. You said that you were rephrase for me how you said that earlier. You were a
high functioning
depressant. And so, in listening to that is you were just doing a lot of things in that emotional state you were in. Mm-hmm. You're not in that emotional state anymore. You're in a different emotional state. But you're still high functioning. You're doing a lot of things. Let's list me a few things that just happen on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, so I'm a traveling school-based mental health therapist. So I
Okay.
drive to 4 different schools in 1 week
One.
to see 25 students.
Okay.
It's a lot of students and a lot of emotions and issues and
Yeah.
all the things in 1 week. But I wake up and I do that. Well, I strive. I've been struggling lately to get up at 5 a.m. so I can set the intention of my day, spend time with God, all the things. And then I drive to work. I'm normally done because my brain can't give to students that many students after a particular time. So I'm normally done by like 1, 2, and then I go write my notes, try to work on a certification training or something. And then by 5, I'm at the gym. And then I'm at home and working on the business. So everything Hoopamone.
Miss Hooper Monet, that's yourself. Dealing with the different emotions and feelings of the kids that you work with. Just a simple question. Your experiences has allowed you to be able to have compassion for them a little bit easier than someone that maybe just went into the field versus someone that has dealt with things. In that, what do you see the biggest differences between the boys and the girls as far as the things that they're going through nowadays?
So majority of my clients are actually women, young girls. I think I have maybe 3. From a man's perspective, just jumping back into the vulnerability,
Yeah.
what I've found is that they're not supposed to feel. And so the first few months was very hard because I know there's an issue. You wouldn't have been referred to me if there wasn't an issue. You didn't have suicidal thoughts just to have them. So I know that there's an issue, but because of your life experiences, you're very reserved. You don't want to open up. I personally, again, because I've had the experience that I have had, I understand that people need to feel safe. And so the way I tailor it now, before I fully answer, girls are just going to open up. So this is why I'm focusing on the men.
Yeah.
I always remind them that, like, where you are, I may not have been, but I've had an experience. And so I always tell my clients the truth of how I got in the field, and it was my experience, my mental health experience. I found that to be the game changer because it takes out man and woman and it makes us one human being that has had the same experience. I've also found, though, that some of my guys don't want to talk because, specifically, I have an African-American client. Him and his mom grew up together. He used to a black woman being super hardcore, X, Y, and Z. Now, I'm hardcore in my own life, but when it comes to therapy, I'm a different person, but my heart is more tender and my speech and my language is more tender because of what they have going on. But what I found is that there's like a transference going on. So he views me as his mom, even though I'm not, because I'm a black woman. And so automatically off the rip, you don't trust me. Automatically off the rip, you've got issues with me. And I have to take those punches. And he didn't say anything crazy to me, but like, I'm gonna let you talk. Because one, you don't know me, but I'm very confident that once you open up by the end of this, you'll be a completely different person. And so with my guys, men are just taught not to talk, not to open up. What did you say? Y'all don't speak it, y'all do it. But then 2, men have always been taught that it's not cool to be vulnerable because that's a sign of weakness. When really, to me, that's a sign of strength because it's saving your life. Like, not talking is making you want to kill yourself. Let's talk about it. Like, why don't you feel like you can talk about it? Oh, because society said that I'm supposed to be strong. Society says I'm supposed to provide. I'm supposed to be this big, strong man of the house, X, Y, and Z. And it goes back to what I said earlier about, like, do you think men feel more vulnerable when they have a place of safety. And so from my experience from a mental health perspective, when I can just listen, it makes them feel like they can actually overcome something. So I think I answered your question.
I'm gonna go just a little bit further there. For men and the societal standards of this strong, can do anything, have to take care of this and that. You're missing the key to your strength by not being able to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
You're lacking what is going to not only change your life, but change the people's lives around you by not continuing to do the same things that you've done, been taught. So by you choosing to do these things, you're continuing a stereotype of what the man is deemed to be or
Yeah.
deemed to look like. And that comes to the root cause of a lot of issues nowadays in relationships, because this man isn't being vulnerable and this woman is being independent.
Mm-hmm.
So we're now dealing with something that is a clash on both sides.
Yeah.
Women say, I don't need y'all. The man's like, not even saying anything, but not saying anything. That's the problem. This is good. It's taking me a long time to get it out right. With that being the case, and how for us men can we work on not only being more vulnerable but being more verbal?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the thing, men are verbal and have vulnerable times, but it's often with their men friends,
Yeah.
because I guess we feel like other guys understand us better.
Mm-hmm.
But you're forgetting that the woman, the womb of life, the optimal creator, because is really a 50-50 thing. There is no human without man and woman.
Yeah.
This is good here. It's coming. It's brewing too. I can see the steam coming off the pot and pot bubbling, ching 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 ching.
Let it come out.
In order for us to have quality relationships with men and women, we have to have a quality communication structure.
Mm-hmm.
For the strong man to have a strong family, he must not be weak in his communication.
Mm-hmm.
For the man to be the best man he can be with his companion, preferably wife,
Mm-hmm.
he has to be able to communicate with her.
Mm-hmm.
As you were saying earlier, as a helpmate, you can't help what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And a mate, I don't have the definition with me, but a mate is actually something that is a companion of.
Mm-hmm.
In this world of uncertainty, miscommunication, because that's where it is. It's miscommunication. We're not communicating with you all how we're feeling,
Right.
and how you could truly help. Y'all yearn for that.
Mm-hmm.
But you asking us, we're not processing, oh, okay. She wants to know how she can help me. No. We just be like, hey,
No.
No. You gotta say, hey, look. Sometimes for my day to flow smoother, if you could help me do this, this, and this, I'm able to do this, this, and this. at this time because now we've given and taken. Um, I believe women truly want to help.
Yeah.
Not just in general, but that's their nature. They're nurturers. Hence the word womb. Um, and I think that we're taking the words provider, man, strength as nurturing as a weakness, but nurturing is the strength.
Yeah.
So, for example, we're outside today. Things grow from the ground. I've never heard it called Father Earth,
Right.
Mother Earth.
Right.
The seeds come from the trees into the land, which is the womb. This is the creation. It has to grow before it is seen.
Yeah.
You know, just as much tree as there is out of the ground, there's just as much in the ground which rooted,
Yeah.
which is the womb that nurtures it. And from that nurturing, tell a good tree from a bad tree by the seed that it regenerates.
Yeah.
So if you continue to pour gasoline on the root of your tree instead of water, it's going to be flammable.
Yep.
And it's soon going to burn up from the inside out. That's where this lack of emotions has come from.
Yeah.
Men have been in this gasoline place. You got to do it. You got to be strong. You got to be the outside without first taking care of the inside. Trees grow outward. So I don't know why trees is the thing here, but we're talking about trees.
They produce light.
Hey, they produce a lot, and until you, and this is where the relationship needs water in order to be nurtured, because you have to feed it good positive things
Yeah.
before it can grow into something beautiful and lifelike.
Yeah.
And so nature teaches us a lot. We often just walk through it and move through it without actually absorbing it. But if you look at nature as life, there's seasons. And each season, there's something new you have to go through and overcome in order to get to that spring blossom. Every winter, the leaves fall. All right. Why do they fall? They need to nourish the inside. They need to
Yeah.
nourish the roots. So if you look at people's yards and they clean the leaves, you're taking away the nourishment that tree needs to regenerate and grow. There's a reason that the leaves fall down, and where they're falling, they're replenishing the nutrients under. So it's real interesting. Nature is beautiful. I love being outside. It doesn't rain as much sometimes a year as it rains other times. But before the leaves come back, it rains a lot.
Yeah.
And if you look right here right now, you see that the leaves have fallen, but now they've broken down. So now when that water comes down, in order to regenerate what was left, it is building up new. And so then the sun gets closer to the earth and warms. Ooh, this is good. I don't even know where it come from. I'm not even astrologist. No, that's the stars and the moon.
Nature man.
Yeah, whatever. If you start paying attention to nature directly and then put it into a lifespan, you're like, okay, there's something I'm not doing in this season for me to grow. There's a reason I'm still in this season.
Yeah.
I can feel it good. It's in me. Ooh, hold me down. It might just be the wind, but it might just be
It's
the
something.
ghost in me. Amber, this is a good episode here now. We could do this all day.
I got you thinking.
But we ain't got all day. as we've talked, I've seen that you've gone through different seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You've been able to go through your winter, and I mean, harsh winter. Like it's a blizzard outside. You can't turn the car on.
You wouldn't believe it, but I'm in that right now.
You gotta, ooh wee. She in the winter again. Hey, I feel it a little winter out here right now. It's supposed to be spring. Wait, that's starting the 21st. This is March.
It's coming early.
It is. It's trying. What they call it, a winter snap.
Mm-hmm.
It's snapping right now.
We didn't get a winter.
Yeah. I don't know. That's another conversation. But going through harsh winters, and let's start to turn this over because we've been out here 16 hours.
It's been good, 16.
Going through these winters, knowing what spring and summer look like, knowing what fall looks like, knowing what's over the hill. You know, they made a song, ain't no mountain high, no valley low, you know.
Ain't no river wide enough, baby.
And all that is a transition.
Yeah.
I gotta get there. There's something I have to do to get there. Getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Getting there. That's the process of it all.
Yeah.
You say you're in a winter right now.
Mm-hmm.
How would, this is good. An old winter versus a new winter. You have experience from the winters that you've been in.
Mm-hmm.
And we all do. We probably don't acknowledge them. But our experiences make us who we are.
Yeah.
Our experiences allow us to grow and thrive. Our experiences as people develops our relationships with other people.
Yeah.
I'm talking right now. How mentally, mine is a terrible thing and I use. Trademark that, please. How mentally can you transition in your winters to say, okay, it's time for me to fertilize myself. It's time for me to water myself. It's time for me to, let's bring it back to the actual things. I need to invest in myself to get to where I have to go.
Yeah.
You have to lose something. You got to do something that you're uncomfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you stay comfortable, you will always be where you are.
Yeah.
You know, it's being complacent, is sitting. We're sitting now, but
We're sitting with purpose.
we're sitting with purpose. And watch this. We're sitting with this purpose, but everything that we've communicated about hasn't been comfortable. We've been in uncomfortable situations by just sitting.
Yeah.
But where we were from, hey, Amber, I hadn't seen you in years to now, I've gained a new respect for you.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned about things for myself just based off our conversation.
Yeah.
Where do we go? And this is the therapist you, this is the personal experience you. Where do we go to continue to get out of that winter? Invest in ourselves more. Understand that for us to do anything, we must do something for oneself. The book said this, know thyself.
Mm-hmm. That's the answer. You got to go deeper into yourself at every single level. So you said a previous winter versus this winter. I'm in a very uncomfortable winter. But the thing that has kept me going is, one, knowing that nothing was ever wasted from my previous winters. So nothing from this will be wasted. But I'm not going to say struggling. This is new for me. And what I mean by that is being in a winter, but then being at a new level in that winter. And so I'm trying to learn how to still show up even in the midst of what I have going on. I'm very honest. I wept this morning because of this winter.
Yeah.
But I had a choice to make. I could say, hey, man, I'm not at my best to do this. or I could give what I have and show up and trust that the conversation, you said we've had uncomfortable conversations. We've had uncomfortable conversations, but I know that I'm comfortable because my body language has shifted. Initially I was up and now I'm like, let's talk about this. Let's do this. But it all happened because I decided to keep pushing and to just show up with what I had. And if this is my best right now,
Yeah.
which listening to you is clearly my best, so we're here. But you
Hey,
got to
look,
keep going.
you gotta get the best out of people now. I'll hold any of this other conversation for a part 2 because
Not a part
we just
two.
getting started. But yeah, this is me having a small vulnerable moment, I guess. I always want to help people, but like at some point I can't help you if you're not helping yourself.
I agree.
There's only so much that one person can do for others. And be able to still show up completely for themselves.
Yeah.
You know, you can pour so much out as a person that you don't have anything else for yourself.
Yeah.
You gotta say, hey, look, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Tired. Not that I'm tired, but
It's hard. You need
it's
help.
hard. But it's like I think the winner that I am is me using my mind. I got to do me. And so for where I can see a potential for people, there's also a potential that I'm lacking seeing for myself. So if I say, let me pour all this into you, what am I pouring into me?
Or who's filling you back up?
Exactly. Hey, look, God got that though.
No, but
Hey,
practically.
that's always my thing. I'm like, hey, look, man. I've always been like, I'm good because I know where my source comes from. But, you know, I often personally will tell you, hey, look, faith without works is dead, but the work is your part.
Yeah,
Yeah, he at the door holding it open, waiting on you to get there.
I agree.
So, like, if you're not doing the work that you need to do, hey, you're going to still be at the door.
I agree.
I'm here. Your next level is through this door, but are you going to get to it? If you want to get to that mountaintop, did you pack the things in your bag to climb that mountain?
Yeah.
Or do you need to go back down and restructure your foundation? Yeah, I can do this all day now. I like to use my mind. And I think that is not saying that men don't use their mind, but we don't verbally express what's going on in our mind. And so I've seen this as a trend. Just everybody I plan to talk to for this season has all been women. And I didn't notice that until I just looked back. I was like, I ain't talking no men.
Yeah.
I've not talked to any men
Yeah.
like this because I understand us, but I think that for us to understand women,
Yeah.
these conversations need to be had.
I agree.
We can talk about business, we can talk about sports, we can talk about all kind of stuff, but we're not talking about our emotions and how we feel. And maybe this is a project for me of becoming more vulnerable, becoming more emotionally available,
Yeah.
per se. Because I've been told that I'm emotionally unavailable more than
But are
once.
you emotionally available for you?
I feel like I'm here.
Okay.
But I think the unavailable comes from me not being expressive.
Because you don't speak it, you do it.
Yeah, and I know what to say. I know when to say it. I just don't. I just hold it. And I think that the man in me kicks in. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, look, let me just do it. Let's sit down and actually let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Because now, later on in time, whatever comes isn't just the fuel that we've been pouring on the roof.
Yeah.
Now that fire isn't going to implode. It's going to be nourishing because now we've put water into it. That's good. We might talk some more some other day. But ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you have meaningful conversation. This is what happens when you get into a flow. I got a page full of notes, and I don't even think I hit half of them because we've had meaningful, impactful conversation. I'm looking forward to see what you're going to do to impact yourself. Um, y'all know what book to buy. Don't tell them where to get the book. Tell them where to get the book.
So, Hoopamone is the name. You can get it on www.amberinunderwood.com. Amazon, if you're in the Shelby County area, you can check it out at the Pelham Public Library. Birmingham area, Birmingham Public Library. Alabaster Sanctuary Promenade. We're going to probably be in more bookstores soon, but,
Worldwide.
that's where you can get it now. But if you're like you want it to be easily accessible, Amazon. Get it now. You won't regret.
Yeah. Hoopamone. One click away. So Amber, I haven't even talked about the therapy structure. I haven't even talked about speaking engagements. I haven't talked about Hoopamone Ventures, the business structure. These are things I like to talk about. But until we are emotionally ready, nobody can talk about anything.
No.
You are in lack when you need to be living in abundance.
Yeah.
Thank you
You're
for this
welcome.
today.
Thank you.
I feel liberated. I feel good. What James Brown said. No. I haven't talked about the self-healing. Look, it's more I can talk about. I do my research. And is there anything you want to ask me? Is there any questions that you have from maybe perspective, point of view, just thoughts, questions, anything that you have?
What's up, family? Antoine Williams here, and I'm the host of I Am Devoted podcast. And I just want to introduce myself to you. Listen, my show, I Am Devoted podcast, is all about making biblical truth accessible to the believer who is living a devoted life as a disciple of Christ. Listen, if you are that believer and you need somewhere to tap in, you can find me on all social media platforms. I am on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and I am on TikTok. I can't wait to see you there. All right, y'all. Go in peace, family. I love you.
All right, so y'all, we got the audio. We might, just put up some visuals for whatever y'all missed. But just to tie it all together and close out today's self-healing journey. We've been here for 2 hours and 3 minutes. What do you have something for me? Challenge me. Allow my mind to not be of use.
I think that's already happened.
Good.
And that happened in the very beginning.
You got the power.
Why do you think it flowed the way it did?
Hey, there we go.
You didn't get to ask any of your questions.
Here she go, y'all.
So when is part 2? Let the people know.
Hey, look. First off, part 2 is going to be based off of Amber's schedule. Let's start there. I'm slightly... See, these are things that bother me. I don't know what we didn't visually get, but we got it on audio. So we'll figure that out in the edit room. Until then, I think that is all that we need today. It's a lot to unpack, a lot to reflect on, a lot that maybe you as an individual can say, hey, look, let me take some time out and find myself. Typically, I take a break somewhere in here. We ain't took a break. We just been
flowing.
Woo. Hey, y'all, man. The mind's a terrible thing to not use. Make sure you use your mind. Tune in and become a solutionary. If you're looking to join a solutionary community, the Discord will be up by the time you see this. So, hopefully we can get some more talks with the Amber Underwood. Because she got the knowledge. Look, I set the stage and I bring the stars.
I bought a ticket to his show.
Yeah, I drove all the way to her side of town.
No.
Shit's only 5 minutes away. But yeah, we'll see y'all next time. Thank you, Amber, for being here.
Thank you for
Hooper
having me.
Monet on all the shelves near you worldwide. You know, hey, look, I
My
have had
hands
the
are open.
honor today to be here with the one and only. I've watched a lot of things you've done from a distance, and all I see is greatness continuing to come out of you. I know
Thank
there
you.
will be more greatness. I know that there's water being poured into you. I mean, the good kind, not the well. And the sun isn't doing nothing but allowing it to blossom. The photosynthesis structure. We didn't get in here. Let me get out of here before we here all night. Thank you, Amber. Until next time, we'll see y'all here on Ideas Inspire Information. Mine's a terrible thing to not use. Today with Amber has been nothing short of remarkable. Didn't really know where it would go, how we would get there, but listening to her describe her experiences, listening to her be vulnerable at this moment with me, with someone that she hasn't communicated with in many years, and maybe not even at the level that we communicated today, shows you how people can grow and develop, shows you how experiences are not only something that you go through, but you thrive through. And being able to do those things allow me today to really understand the beautiful soul that Amber is, and has been. There just needed to be something throughout her journey for that flower to blossom. And you're the same flower that you were born to be. You just have to find what inside of you allows you to be that blossom for someone else. People just don't walk past flowers. They look at them, they smell them. Flowers are something that you just absorb because their beauty is strikingly elegant to you. Not by the colors, not by the smell, but by the beauty that is inside it before it blossoms. We walk past the buds and we don't notice them until the spring comes. But there are things that had to happen for those to be. Amber is the living proof of what happens to be. By no means would she have thought she would have been an author at this point in life. By no means did she think that she'd have a best-selling book, be a world-renowned writer, speaker, and just the person that she is. She's going to change so many lives. And as that continues to happen, you got to see it firsthand. So understand that what's inside of you is not only your blessing, but the blessing for each and every person around you. Continue to change lives, continue to be exceptional, and continue to use your mind, because the mind is a terrible thing to not use.
Today with Braxton and Ideas Inspire has just been full of connectedness, full of ease, full of peace, and full of flow. I have not talked to Braxton, as you know, over 15, 20 years, and I did not know that he was researching and studying and watching, but I'm thankful that he did, because you have to know who you're connecting yourself to and why. You don't give opportunities like this to everyone out of time, and Braxton has used this opportunity to make me aware that it's time, because again, it's bigger than me. And so my prayer is that this episode, you saw yourself through the good and the bad, and you're aware that no matter what life throws at you, if you allow yourself to go through it, you will learn what you need for the person you're becoming. And you are becoming God's original idea of you, your greatest self on this side of life. So thank you.